Hi, I'm Grace Powers, and you're listening to Earth Talk Radio, bringing you the news behind the news. Welcome to the show.
When we grew up and went to school, there were certain teachers who would help children any way they could.
If you've never heard rumors about the government's blackest and scariest secret, you're hearing it right here, right now, on Earth Talk Radio. I'm talking about concealed underground cities called D.U.M.Bs. D.U.M.B is an acronym for Deep Underground Military Bases. The government calls them DUMBs to mock us because they think we're too dumb to figure out what DUMBs really are. Yes, we're dumb all right. We're dumb enough to trust the government. How big are these deep underground bases? According to eyewitnesses, they're about the size of a medium-sized city, and they're anywhere from 10 miles to 30 miles across, with an average depth of 4¼ miles. Wow. In America alone, there's at least 140 of them, and most of the tunneling activity is under military installations. These underground cities have reportedly been under construction day and night since the 1940s. Worldwide, there's about 1,500 of them. The Northrop facility in Antelope Valley, California, is rumored to be 42 levels deep. Ex-employees and whistleblowers describe what sounds like the underground setting for a science fiction movie. Tunnel machines that dig a mile of tunnel big enough for a 2-lane highway in a matter of minutes. High-speed magnetic levitation trains traveling between underground cities at fantastic speeds of up to 1,500 miles per hour. Are these ex-employees just making up these stories to get attention and publicity? Who are they, and what are their credentials? One of them is Richard Sauder, who wrote a book called Underground Bases and Tunnels. What is the government trying to hide? Sauder has an architectural PhD, and he's worked for a number of government agencies. His book describes a nuclear power laser drill called the Subterrane, capable of drilling an underground tunnel 7 miles long in a single day. It literally melts the rock away that's in its path and leaves behind a smooth, glazed, glass-like surface around the edges of the tunnels. Another credible witness is a retired U.S. Air Force Colonel, L. Fletcher Prouty. He wrote a book in 1973 called The Secret Team, explaining how underground cities are hidden from public view. So don't expect revolving glass doors and red carpets at the entrances and exits to these facilities. From 1955 to 1963, Prouty was the liaison between the CIA and the Department of Defense for military support of special operations. The Secret Team, which he names after his book, is a powerful, brutally violent international team that overthrows and influences governments all over the globe. Prouty compares it to a sprawling octopus, with the U.S. and the world in its deadly grasp. At the core of the Secret Team are members of the CIA, the National Security Council, military and civilian officials, as well as academics, business, and even media people. Each underground city is said to employ 10,000 to 18,000 workers and cost between $17 and $26 billion to build. Where does all that money come from? It comes from a concealed black budget that garners 25% of the gross U.S. national product, and it currently consumes $1.25 trillion per year. Ever wonder what happened to the trillions in so-called losses after the bankster crooks fleeced the world's major financial institutions, then got rewarded with taxpayer bailouts? Ever wonder what happens to the billions that they pocket from Afghanistan's opium trade and from the legal and illegal drug money? In Tim Weiner's book, The Blank Check, The Pentagon's Black Budget, he writes, "There are two governments in the United States today. One is visible, the other is invisible. The first is the government that citizens read about in their local newspapers, and the second is highly secretive, interlocking agencies that carry out hidden agendas." Rumor has it that DUMBs are populated with aliens. Philip Schneider, an ex-government structural engineer, was involved in building deep underground military bases around the United States. For the last 2 years of his life, He gave public lectures about government cover-ups, black budgets, UFOs, and yes, aliens. On January 17, 1996, Schneider was found dead in his apartment with piano wire wrapped around his neck. Some say he was tortured and murdered in a military-style execution. James Casbolt is another whistleblower. Casbolt was a former MI6 agent who worked in Black Ops in London between 1995 and 1999. He has connections to ex-intelligence people who worked in underground bases and on ET-related projects. There are vast numbers of children and adults disappearing around the world and ending up in these underground bases, says Casbolt, who claims he has seen aliens firsthand. After learning all of this, the trillion-dollar question that needs to be asked is, why in hell are governments building a global underground network of cities with interconnecting tunnels? Why has Norway built a highly fortified and heavily guarded underground seed repository? Is there something they're not telling us? Are they expecting a global disaster? An apocalypse? An engineered biological or nuclear war? Or a pole shift? How about an ice age? Or some other catastrophic depopulating event? Whistleblower George Green believes an imminent nuclear war is being orchestrated by the global elite to reduce the world's population to 500 million. He believes that underground cities are a retreat for the global elite. If Green is right, what do these underground retreats come equipped with? Hydroponic grow-ops? Luxury spas? Hyperbaric oxygen chambers, pubs, fountains, Roman baths, perhaps? With their stolen trillions, they can even simulate starry night skies and sunny days, just like at your local planetarium. Since underground cities are reportedly capable of accommodating millions, not billions, of people, guess who's got reservations in these subterranean resorts? If you confront government agencies about any of this, they won't try to deny the existence of underground facilities. They just wave it off as storage and defense. But what if whistleblowers like Casbolt, Sauder, Prouty, and Schneider are all telling the truth? What if a hidden, secret global network of underground cities, tunnels, and maglev trains really do exist? And what if sinister plans by the ruling elite also exist? One can only guess that the stuff they're doing way down there isn't for the benefit of humankind, since none of us have reservations or even a timeshare.